What's up, YouTube? It's Logan, the drunken metalhead who muses, and tonight I have another contest entry for you. So, Simon, all the way from Australia at Explosive Action, has hit 5,000 subscribers, and he's doing a contest entry. And I definitely want to get in on it, and of course, first say, congratulations, sir, on hitting 5,000. That is an impressive number. Simon's channel is cool in that it combines both metal music and movies into just one action-packed, non-stop YouTube experience. And as someone who was originally into movies before metal music, I enjoy the crossover, you know? And I feel like you kind of have to be brave to contend with both the metal, hardcore fan base and fans of cult movies. So because of this crossover of music and movies, he has 3 questions that have to do with both. Question 1, music that is directly about a movie. Question 2, music that makes you think of a certain movie. And question 3, a movie that makes you think of a certain piece of music. With it being the Halloween season, I wanted to kind of focus in on some horror aspect with this, though there is some other pieces of science fiction in here as well. I definitely wanted to do this contest, and I think it's allowed me to listen to some albums in a different light, and has made me want to watch some movies in a different light. So, cheers, Simon, and let's get into it. So first, what I'm drinking. I found a beer that actually makes me think of a certain movie, and of a certain scene in particular. I'm sure some of you might already know a movie I'm talking about when I show this. Yeah. Pabst Blue Ribbon is a favorite of mine, but it's also a favorite of one Dennis Hopper when he appears in the movie Blue Velvet. How does it go again?
Heineken? Fuck that shit! Pabst Blue Ribbon!
Well said. Cheers. Pabst Blue Ribbon. So first we've got music that is directly about horror movies. So I picked 3 here. First off, about the Evil Dead series, because of course this has to be mentioned. We've got the Black Dahlia Murder with their song Raped in Hatred by Vines of Thorn off of Everblack. It is probably one of the better songs off of this album right here, which is a pretty solid contender in their discography. It's not one of my ultimate favorites, but it's a good one. There's these melodic guitar lines that run through it in the way that only the Black Dahlia Murder can do, which makes it a catchy song, but then at the same time it's got that vicious chorus courtesy of Trevor. Rest in peace, my friend. Whenever I listen to that track, I immediately envision that one iconic and fucked up scene from Evil Dead. Holy shit. And then more low-hanging fruit. Have to talk about Fulci. I love this band. I love this album. This is Tropical Sun. This is, of course, the album about Zombie 2, or just Zombie, I guess. And yeah, it's hard not to think about or want to watch that movie after listening to this. There's all the sound clips and just the their use of soundtrack elements and synths, very 80s heavy synths on this album. Fulci is one of the better modern death metal bands out there, and a must for the Halloween season. And then, going back to the first horror movie that I really ever watched in full, that of course scared the shit out of me, probably Jaws. I saw it at the age of 8, of course, while I was visiting grandparents at the beach, and I was definitely scared of the water the rest of that summer. So, cheers to you, you great big fish. And in honor of that, here is the concept album, The Great Fish by the band Squalus. And if you don't know, Squalus is one of the scientific names for, I believe, the genus for sharks. I mean, this whole album just outlines Jaws. And it's got sound clips from it, and, I mean, just look at the packaging itself. You can see it as it's approaching the orca. Yeah, this is on Translation Loss Records. Alright, and then question 2 and 3 are a little interchangeable for me. To tell you the truth, I'm no longer consuming movies at the same rate that I was back in my high school and college days. Mainly because I just don't have the time. And when I boil it down, to what would I rather do, have a beer and watch a movie, or have a beer and listen to a bunch of records and CDs, it's the latter. But also, I'm currently sharing a TV set, and a lot of the films I would like to watch are not necessarily on the menu most of the time. So I fit them in while I can. So because of this, I typically associate music with movies first in that direction versus movies with music. I've tried to separate it out as much as I can, but here we go. So diving into question 2, a song or album that makes me want to watch a movie. The first one is actually a classic anime Hayao Miyazaki film from Studio Ghibli. And whenever I listen to Oxygen by Jean-Michel Jarre, I don't even know if I said his name right, it makes me want to watch Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind. And that has become my favorite film from Studio Ghibli. I love the post-apocalyptic world that it builds. It's such a unique world, and I love the message found within. And kind of it doesn't feel overbearing, and it still focuses more on world building than anything else. And I feel like the soundtrack and really the album cover to this music just makes me think of a world poisoned by modern man, and what will happen after such a world. What is peeled back from its existence. Nausicaa definitely explores that, and I feel like this album does as well. Love both of them. And then, kind of to dive into sound bites used, whenever I listen to Remission by Mastodon, with that opening roar from Crusher Destroyer, the opening song, I am automatically intrigued and want to watch Jurassic Park, because that roar is the T-Rex from his grand opening in the first Jurassic Park film. And goddamn, Jurassic Park is a badass fucking movie, and one of the first PG-13, I guess, kind of horror films that I ever watched. I call it horror because when I watched it for the first time, probably at the age of 11, certain scenes freaked me out. Like when Sam Jackson gets by the velociraptors and his arm is on the back of what's the actress's name? Her. Yeah, that scene. And then, real quick, whenever I listen to any Portal, specifically this album, Altri, it makes me think of course, Lovecraft, but there's a specific horror movie that recently came out called The Void that it makes me think of, because The Void is so dark and fucked up, and it really doesn't flow like incredibly well, and it's just so dark. I think the music of Portal fits it, and the practical effects used in The Void definitely fit the music of Portal. Definitely watch The Void. Definitely listen to 13 Globes or Moil right after it. And then to highlight some CDs real quick, this is Children of Technology with their album Future Decay, and this is actually what's going on in the background right now. It's a cool crossover album with a little bit of Motorhead and Venom in there. Of course, this makes me think of Mad Max, specifically Thunderdome, because that was the first Mad Max I watched, and I've returned to that probably the most out of all of them. I mainly think of it because just look at what this band is emulating. And of course, the name of the album is Future Decay, and I'm just envisioning this and that character in like a Mad Max kind of world. Yeah, tracks like Hold Up Your Fuel, Eaton Dust Overload, Under the Ripping Storm, and Fear the Mohawk Reaper also just reeks of Mad Max. Rest in peace, Tina Turner. And then this one I'm a little proud of right here. This is Artificial Brain with their debut album, Labyrinth Constellations. Now this is my favorite Artificial Brain album, and I'm showing it because whenever I listen to this, it makes me think of Alien. It's not directly about Alien, but just the atmosphere of it, the claustrophobic feeling of it, but then at the same time, it feels cosmic in of itself. So, it's not a beautiful cosmic kind of feeling, it's a claustrophobic cosmic kind of feeling, like you're stuck in a tiny ass dark spaceship with this unknown alien entity that is picking off your crewmates one by one. And then the final question is a movie that makes you want to listen to a song or album. So, first off, I thought of The Lighthouse, that recent movie with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. Whenever I watch it, it makes me think of The Rime of the Ancient Mariner off of Power Slave. Mainly because of that whole albatross sequence, but then also because of the tragic nature of both characters, and specifically Robert Pattinson's character. Kind of echoes what happens to the Mariner here. And once again, that albatross scene is fucking brutal. And then we've got the movie Interstellar, which makes me think of this album, Mariner by Cult of Luna in collaboration with Julia Christmas. So this is a masterpiece of an album right here, and Interstellar really is a masterpiece of a movie. I love it. I don't know how it holds up for other people, but for me it holds up great. It kind of takes that cosmic feeling into more of a voyage kind of direction, and this album does too. And it definitely makes you think of a voyage filled with hardships and tribulation that might not succeed. I mean, that this album kind of reeks of it. And then at the very end, it feels like there's this huge breakthrough / realization, and everything changes. And then I want to highlight my favorite anime of all time real quick, Berserk. This is the 1997 anime adaptation. God, I love this thing. I've probably seen it half a dozen to 10 times, you know. But whenever I listen to it, it makes me think of Alcest's Kodama album. Mainly because of how sad and sorrowful this album feels, but also with how rooted in anime and Japanese culture it is as well. And I think the fantasy elements of this album align with that of Berserk. Of course, Princess Mononoke from Hayao Miyazaki is probably the more obvious pick, but I don't know. I definitely hear and think of Berserk also. And then the movie The Witch, VV, ITCH, I think also by the guy who did The Lighthouse. I'll put his name somewhere. But it makes me think of this split specifically, Cough and Wind Hand, with their split Reflection of the Negative. And it's because of this. Look, here's the front. Here's the back. Goat. Witch. This definitely embodies that movie more than other Wind Hand albums and more than other Cough albums. I think it's because of the extremity of Cough mixed with the ritualistic nature of Wind Hand kind of creates the vibe of the movie. And then finally, I have to mention soundtracks and the role soundtracks can play in checking out music. Whenever I watch The Crow, which, I mean, it's not often, but whenever I do, that soundtrack definitely stands out to me. And one of the albums I want to play is Betty by Helmet, because it's got the Milquetoast appearance. Of course, there's plenty of other good songs on here. Wilma's Rainbow, Biscuits for Smut, Street Crab. I know. Man, Helmet are an underrated band. Simon, cheers, my friend. Congrats on 5,000 again. Thanks for hosting this contest. Here's to many more videos and many more subscribers.